Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dragon Talk. How is it going? I'm Greg Tito, and I have Adam Lee.
Hello.
You
Welcome.
are Adam of Adventure.
Aye, that I am.
You like to go on adventures.
I do.
You like to write about adventures as well.
I do. Yes, I am trying to have art imitate life.
That's a good way to think about it,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
We are here to record Dragon Talk this week. A lot of people are on vacation. I was out for a week camping. Shelly, my normal co-host, is also been out for 2 weeks. I think this is her second week of being out.
Man, she's just like off to the races.
She is off to the races. She, after being here for 95 years as she has, she's got a lot of PTO saved up.
That's right. Her lichdom demands more venues.
Right, exactly. She's not actually on vacation. She's just, recharging underneath the ground.
That's
in
right.
In a cavern. But yeah, she's out this week. She'll be back next week for some fun Dragon Talk hosting things happening. But I thought I'd ask Adam to come in because A, you're a really awesome person.
Oh, shucks.
Easy
Thanks.
to talk to. You got lots of interesting things.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to be joining us for all three of their little portions today.
Yeah, it's like a marathon.
It's a marathon.
It is. I'm going to see if I can do it.
You can do it.
I can do it, man.
I have to do this every week. I think now you can walk a mile in my shoes.
You're a machine. Yeah. If I just start to slowly fall apart as we go, well then.
Nice. Well, you know what? Coffee helps. I will
Oh.
tell you that. So when
Okay.
we do our breaks, we'll definitely have to recharge with some caffeine.
Okay. Sounds good.
But we were just chatting before we got started about, speaking of vacations and all the adventures, you're going on an adventure next week, right?
Yeah, I'm heading to the island of Bonaire. It's off the coast of Venezuela, and it's they call them
Oh, really? In Venezuela?
yeah. So they call them the ABC Islands. There's Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire.
Okay.
Of course, I said it in ACB, but Bonaire actually way back in the 1970s was. A group of scuba divers and environmentalists went out there, and they loved this place. It's a natural reef all around the island, and they just saw it, and they're just like, we've got to protect this place, and they were way ahead of their time. So they protected the island, and it has been under the governmental protection, I think, of Venezuela since the 70s. It is also a Dutch island. The Dutch came down there, and it's used for a salt mine. So both Venezuelan and the Dutch, I think maybe the Dutch own it. I'm not so sure. But anyway, the reefs are pristine, and it's a great place to go scuba diving. So I'm heading there with two of my friends, and we're going to go explore the underwater world.
Nice.
And get our minds blown by some crazy fish and coral reefs.
And you'll be inspired to, include all of that content in your next Ghost of Saltmarsh inspired adventure.
For sure.
Yeah. See if you meet any Sahuagin or Mer people.
Yeah, Marrow folk.
Marrow folk, yes, exactly. Oh, what's the name of the race that's on the front cover that Chris Lindsay most recently statted up for us? What's the walking fish people?
The Lokatha?
The Lokatha.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll meet some of them.
Oh, Lokatha for sure will be there.
Do you speak aquatic?
I do. I do.
Can you say something for us?
Of course, it sounds different underwater, which is the natural element.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very similar to my sometimes when you do impressions or voices, you have like a phrase that gets you into it. When I was running Out of the Abyss and I was doing the Kuatoa, you remember? I was like, oh. Yeah, that's right. Because you were in those sessions.
Yep.
Yeah. That was tons of fun.
That was fun, man.
God, that was like 5 years ago, right?
That was
4 years ago? 4 years ago.
4?
Yeah,
4.
because 2015 was when Out of the Abyss came out, right?
Yeah. That's right. Because I came on here 2014, and we were just starting to work on that. Yeah.
Crazy.
Out of the Abyss. In fact, that was the first book I worked on for D&D.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's other than I think Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I think it's my favorite
Yeah.
of what we've already published.
Yeah. Sweet.
Because I loved the scarcity of resources.
Yeah.
It almost felt a little bit like Dark Sun. It felt like you're trapped in the Underdark, and just getting food and water is a challenge and an adventure unto itself.
Yeah. I mean, the Underdark is a hostile environment, so you're kind of on Mars or the Moon, or one of those places where, every little bit counts, and there's you never know what's around the next bend, and you could run into anything from hostile creatures to hostile magic to natural thing that's going to just eat your face off. So, yeah, it was a horrible, horrible place.
It is a horrible place. But I'm excited to adventure there at the very least.
But what wonders.
And I'm seeing some trends here with your work on Avernus.
Yeah. So very excited to see this thing actually in a physical form.
We have the book. It actually did. Was it yesterday that it arrived for the first time? These are printing proofs. Is that what they are?
I think so.
Yeah.
They might even be printing proofs.
Yeah. So this is the actual book with the alternate cover by Hydro 74 and the back cover of Zerial. I think.
And it's all shiny.
Cool. It's shiny. It's got that nice soft touch. You guys see how shiny it is? Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah.
So nice.
Illuminated. Very cool. Well, we will get into way more about this adventure as well as the lore in our upcoming segments. So at 1 p.m., we'll be talking to Chris Perkins and Adam about their work on the adventure. And then from 2 to 3 p.m., Adam is going to join me and talk about, what do we decide? We're going to talk about Candlekeep.
Yeah.
I think we've done a lore on that already, but we're going to revisit it and delve into it, how it pertains to this adventure. Mm-hmm. And then more about the Infernal War Machines and how they're used.
And then maybe a little bit about some of the things you can encounter in this dark realm.
Exactly. It'll be really exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. We have lots of intros and outros, of course, that we have to do for this, and we'll get to that in a second. But I did want to point out that someone in chat here, Vulpes Tenebrae, said that when you did the underwater aquatic sound, you sounded like Squidward's clarinet.
Oh,
and definitely inspired by SpongeBob.
Big fan of SpongeBob. Oh my God, yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, I love SpongeBob. And weirdly enough, that was through my nieces. They're like, Uncle Adam, come check out this, SpongeBob. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go sit down with them. And I was just like, all right, we're watching this. Like,
we're in.
Yeah, I'm like, let's watch another one. They're like, oh, cool. So we probably spent most of the day just watching SpongeBob. It was great. Yeah, SpongeBob's awesome.
I do love the children's programming that doesn't feel just for children.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you can appreciate it as an adult and giggle aloud with your kids, it really, it makes it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I bet as a dad, that's fun.
Oh gosh, yeah, I know. Luckily, one of my daughters loves what she calls teenager shows, so we'll watch a lot of like sitcoms or things like that. So Fuller House is a big one in our house right now, and there's jokes in that I just laugh out loud at, and they're like, "What are you laughing for?" And I'm like, "Well, you kind of have to know." So much. It's like so many meta layers. This is what I like about the writing in there.
Yeah.
Is they poke fun at real world things in a way that's still in the context of the show. So it's like for example, one thing that always comes up is how the Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen aren't participating in the show.
Oh,
and they're always like, "Well, hopefully you'll join us one day." And they'll like look right at the camera and be like, well, "We really miss our sister who is invisible." And like I just love that they break the fourth wall on that as
fun.
much. Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah. And then they're like, "Why is that funny, Dad?" I'm like, I don't know.
You got been there.
Yeah,
been there, kid.
You had to have lived through the 90s, like I did.
Well, I mean, that's like part of the fun as a writer is like, I've done, of course, writing for D&D and for Magic, but I've also done writing for, children's books and stuff like that. And that's kind of the secret satisfaction as a writer, to just throw in things that, different parts of your audience. Like you've got your main sort of Venn diagram pie that, okay, it's going to be for, 8 to 12-year-olds. But then you're like, okay, other people are going to be reading this stuff. I'm like, what can I throw in there to excite them about that? And it's the same with creating D&D adventures. And it's like, the big part of the D&D audience is going to be excited about this, or the new players are going to be really excited about this. But what are like the old players who've been there from the time I started playing, which was, back in the 80s? It's like, what would they like? And that's a small slice of the pie. And then, what would a player who really loves like the Feywild, they're just like, oh, give me something that, okay, what would they like? And throw in something there. So it's like throwing in these tidbits so that, you please everybody and you give, something for everybody to kind of riff on and to enjoy and to like, oh, I know what that is. And
yeah,
of course, Perkins is the one to do that because he's a living encyclopedia of everything. and he can just throw that stuff in left and right, and it's fun to see,
I love that philosophy that we've taken with 5th edition books, where it's not a most of the products that we come out with are not just for dungeon masters or just for players or just for a small subset of the audience. Like, we try to make it a grab bag so that when you get a Volo's Guide to Monsters, there's something that you can get out of out of that, no matter where you're coming from the game and are at. So
and I love the way D&D has evolved over the years. I've seen it shift and move, and now with 5th edition, just like where it's going and like what the new players are. And it's just refreshing and cool, and they've got an interesting look at it, and to see like what they're excited about and how games have evolved, and what a D&D game looks like now to what it looked like 10 years ago and what it looked like 20 years ago. Super cool, and I think actually gives me faith in humanity. I'm like, oh, we're moving in a right direction. It's really nice. So it's fun.
Speaking of which, I got to listen to the interview that I was not involved in for Dragon Talk with Ethan Holt. 12-year-old. Kate and Shelley did a fantastic job speaking to him, and you're right. It just I had such faith in humanity. Like, okay, the younger generations are taking up the mantle of imaginative storytelling.
Yeah, and it's like playing with little kids is really interesting, because it's just like the way they go about solving problems is very different and pure and innocent and actually kind of more in alignment with like who we are as people than later on what we do. But and just like, okay, you've got 4 grumpy goblins and they're facing you, and the kid's just like, oh, why are they grumpy? I'm just like, oh, my heart's melting. So
I want to get them some food and give them a hug and make them not grumpy.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, this is really how we should deal with problems today. It's like, so I think it's cool.
That'd be an interesting case study to be like, how do children solve problems? Obviously with the context of Dungeons and Dragons, but versus the adults and all the socialization that happens with adults by the time they're 30 or 40. How they want to solve a problem versus a 4-year-old and how they will solve it in the story. It's very different. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I remember reading once about. In China, they're like, the youth are the conscience of the country, and I remember hearing about that. I don't know if it came from Confucius or whatever. I'm not really schooled on that, but that
maybe the chat will tell us.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to know, because that thing stuck out to me, and it was like, because the youth aren't sort of jaded or whatever, and they come from this pure place, and I think seeing how kids play Dungeons and Dragons. And how it is kind of transforming sort of how we design adventures in-house. Like we're actually looking at that and being like, this is the drive to solve problems without conflict, without violence, is a much better, more role-playing, more creative way to do something than it is just to bash it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you've got this beautiful puzzle before you. Let's smash it and then open it up and find out what's inside. Instead of like, let's solve the puzzle. Let's just see how it there's something beautiful about solving the puzzle. So, so that is influencing just, I know how I think about it. So, it's cool.
I like it.
Yeah. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Very cool. Do you think you're ready to do our real intro now?
Sure.
Should we record it for reals?
For realsies.
All right. Well, thank you for being here again, just for 3 hours. I know I'm going to thank you many times over the next a couple of segments. But here in this one, we do the intro. So we might repeat some of the stuff we've already said, but then we'll go through and talk about when Descent into Avernus is coming out. Talk a little bit about the dice set and the stuff that are coming, as well as what else is coming down the pipe.
Oh, there are many things coming
There are
down
so
the pipe.
many things.
Yeah, I don't know what I can reveal and what I cannot reveal.
More from our partners on the Young Adventurers guys that are out, as well as the Rick and Morty stuff and things like that. But I'll go through and talk all about that. And I heard the click, so we're actually already recording. Right, Ryan? We're ready?
It's happening.
All right. Don't be surprised when Ryan and Sean clap after I say the Dragon Talk. We've been doing that a lot.
Okay.
Yay. In studio audience stuff. We have the big applause sign that will light up. Everybody applaud. All right. All right. Everybody ready? We're doing this.
Bum, bum, bum.
Welcome to Dragon Talk. Yeah! are making things happen here. I am Greg Tito. I am joined today by Adam Lee.
Hello.
How goes it?
Greetings. It goes well, sir.
Welcome to the official Dungeons & Dragons podcast.
Thank you very much.
We have Ms. Shelley Moo is on vacation, so we have you as a stand-in. Do you think you can make it work?
Those are big shoes to fill. Holy smokes.
Wait, are you saying that she has big feet? Because I think she might be upset about that.
Yeah, they're just massive.
Size 16. I don't know if anybody knows that. So fun fact.
Yep.
Kayak around in them. Nice. So, Adam, your handle on Twitter is Adam of Adventure.
Aye, that it is.
How did you choose that?
It was actually from a Monty Python skit, and there was a guy who was this kind of dope, and he's like, Bounder of Adventure. And I just thought that was funny. And then I thought, well, I write adventures, and I like to adventure in real life. So there it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. It encapsulates a lot about you, I think. So
yeah, for me, life's an adventure, and it's like I'm always trying to find a way to inject it into what I do, and I think when I go out in life and I experience new things and I go to crazy places and I come back, and then it helps me write cool stuff.
And you've been here on the D&D team since 2014, is that right?
Yeah. I've been in-house in Wizards since 2010, and I've worked freelance for them since 2005.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my first writing gig was Cold Snap for Magic, and and it was I did some online stories, and I did some names and flavor text, and kind of collaborated back and forth with the creative team. And then worked, for every Magic set. And then 2010, when Wizards kind of started to grow and expand, then they said, come on in because we like your stuff. So I was like, okay. So I came in, and that was 2010. Worked on Magic for 4 years, and then came over to D&D in 2014.
Nice.
Which was like coming back home for me, because that's sort of the game that I grew up playing and the kind of the game I love. And yeah, so I was so stoked.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that was great.
And we were saying earlier you worked on Out of the Abyss. That was your first major adventure.
Yeah, when we first came in, we were just starting on that, and imagine my delight when I come over to the team and there's Perkins, and we sit in our first meeting. It was me and Richard and Perkins, and we just we're just like, what are we gonna make?
Right.
That was just like this moment where I was like, I'm in heaven.
I'm in the Underdark.
I'm in the
where
Underdark.
There's drow who want to kill me, but it feels like heaven.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh, that's
so
super
good.
cool.
It was super cool, and so then that was the first one. We started hacking out who the characters were, and what the adventure was all about, and worked with Bob Salvatore. He came in and did some consulting with us, and got to meet Bob and chat with him about stuff, and about the Red Sox, and about Japanese chins, which are his dog and Richard's dog.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize they had
Richard
that dog connection.
Yeah, Richard and Bob have this sort of soul connection over Japanese chins.
Oh,
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah,
Richard
cool.
Witters is our senior concept art director.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Back then he was the senior concept artist, but now he's senior art director. Yeah,
that's super cool.
Yeah,
that, they have that connection, and it was always a
nice
way to bridge the gap when dog people talk.
That's the first thing Bob always asks me. How's your chins? That's my terrible Bob impression, but yeah,
it fits with me and Shelley's terrible Bob impression, so no worries. That's very cool. And of course, you did a lot of work on Descent into Avernus, Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
I did that backwards, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We've got the actual copy here, so we'll delve into that a little bit in the interview portion of this episode, where you and Chris Perkins will be talking all about working on this adventure.
Yeah,
that'll be very fun.
Yeah, this was my first time doing a story lead on a D&D product. The other times I've been sort of in a role where I help generate the story, and I help come up with ideas. But this one, it was just Chris was really busy, and it was a different kind of departure. And it was just like the opportunity was there, and it was like, hey, do you want to lead this story? And I'm like, heck yeah. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. And the team was amazing. I worked with a lot of super talented people in-house and out-of-house. And I love it. It's it's weird to actually hold the physical object.
I know.
And it's real. Yeah.
You also, this is more like the intro, so everyone knows, your shtick. But you also did a lot of the text, or all the text, for the coloring book.
Yeah.
What was the title of that? I'm just blanking on it right now.
Oh gosh, that was the Todd James one.
Yeah.
I forget the title of it.
Right, we're so good. We're so good at our jobs. But that was awesome because it brought in a lot of your experience in writing, kind of short snippets of lore and story.
Yeah, well, I mean, before this in my other life, I used to do greeting
Adventures
card.
Outlined. Sorry,
Oh,
Adventures Outlined.
Yep.
Yes, everyone love it.
Yeah, great stuff. But that was my previous life as a greeting card writer. So I used to, all day write Christmas cards and birthday cards and Valentine's cards and all that stuff for, probably over a decade. I did that. And in fact, it was kind of what sort of qualified me for a job working on Magic, doing names and flavor text and stuff like that, because it was like, on a Magic card, you only have a tiny little amount of space to write something that's really pithy and that really hits home. And greeting cards are exactly that. So so I had already had that ability to take a giant concept and then dwindle it down to a sentence.
Yeah.
Which is an art form. It's harder than one might think. So
it's like the haiku thing where
it is.
You can write a poem forever, but when you have these strict guidelines of character count and syllable count, that you have to be even more economic and in your language.
Yeah. And then, you kind of it makes makes me fall in love with words, because one word has a certain sort of inflection to it, and another word has just a slightly different. And just the other day I was writing something, and it was like the difference, I forget the difference between two words, but one word was it was like something is influenced and then something was infested by something. And the feeling I wanted was like this thing is not influencing you, it's infesting you. It's like it's getting into your body. It's sort of like got a negative connotation, like an infestation of something. So it's things like that, and those are the things that as a writer I really goob out about. That's sort of another slice of my geek pie, is just words and just what they mean. So
I love that. I
it's
love
a lot of
that.
fun.
So people will be able to get their hands on Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus on September 17th.
Yes.
It'll be available everywhere, both digitally, at your local game store, big box stores if that's your jam. You can only get this cover, which is the Hydro 74 cover that's extremely stylized, and
so nice.
I absolutely love it. It's got kind of a soft touch and a shiny feel. You can only get that through game stores. So if you're interested in it, make sure you get your order in, because we hear that these go fast. They do. A limited amount is printed, so you got to get it early when you can. But of course, the standard cover is really beautiful too. It has
super amazing
that painting by Tyler Jacobson that I've fallen in love with it again and again.
Yeah. I mean, it's so fun. Another fun part of the job is to send out the art orders and see what the artists come up with. And it's always a treat to send something out to Tyler, because, he's just so amazing and he does such a great job. And his thought process, I have the good fortune of being good pals with him, and to hear him talk about how he thinks about, doing the art. And in a way, we often talk about how art and writing kind of parallel and differentiate between one another. And but just hearing how he thinks about, I needed to put the camera here, and I needed to have the thing here, but then there was this big gap, and I didn't know what to do with that, so I filled it with this, and so it's fun. It's a fun thing. So
I love that meld of craft versus artistry too.
Yeah.
That the people who are creating digital things for covers and things like that, they have to think about it in both those ways, right?
Yeah.
Because of course you need. All right, well that's where the title is going to go, so you can't put anything really important. In the top, third of this painting. And it's
there are all these constraints.
Yeah, it's similar to the haiku type thing where they have to follow their the guidelines that the art director like Shauna Wolf Narciso will give him and make it really sing. And I think that image in particular is just really
so
beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, really neat.
So that's coming, and then if you want more art that is similar to that. It sounds silly to say it, but you can get it in the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus Dice and Miscellany set. Mm-hmm. That's the miscellany part of that product name. But yeah, that is coming out also on September 17th, and it has it's a very thick, heavy duty cardboard box that when you open it up, it's felt lined, so you can use you'll get this beautiful dice that you can use as and roll in that tray. You actually have two trays essentially. But my favorite part about this product is all of the ancillary miscellaneous stuff that's in there.
Fun. Yeah.
Were you involved in putting all that together?
Yeah. I did a lot of I did the writing for it.
No way, really?
Yeah. So that, I was actually in on the product meetings when we were developing that thing. And one of the things we talked about is like, how can we give, this incredible value for, just, what you get is like, and so we're talking about like, how can we, power pack this full of cool things like a dice tray and like, you get art, you get to see, some concept art from the book. You get your, awesome dice that are, and then what are some fun things that we can give to DMs who are creating worlds in this, in Avernus and beyond.
Yeah.
And so we kind of came up with all that stuff, but we also came up with the, showing you the creatures, and then on the backside you get to hear like get some writing about what the creature is and what they do, and kind of a story behind why they're there, and it just kind of gives you this flavor feel of what this world is, what this realm is like. And a lot of the monsters and creatures that you're going to encounter down there.
Yeah.
And then there's, I believe there's, some extra stuff about like you get to have the infernal script, and so you get to have a map, and you get to see some size charts.
The map of Avernus looks very cool, and
my
I didn't realize
gosh.
there's actually that same map is also in the back of the book.
Yeah.
As well as the infernal script.
Yeah.
And what they all mean. Can you guys? Yeah. There you go. You can kind of see it a little bit more that way. This is, of course, for audio, but those of you who get the book will actually be able to see all that stuff that's in there. And it is included in smaller form in the Dice and Miscellany kit.
Yeah, and that map, that came from Jared Blando. We talked with Richard Witters, and we were like, had this idea of like, well, a map of Avernus, and what would that look like? And we wanted to have capture this idea of like, the old cool maps from like the Middle Ages where they hadn't really explored that far. And so they're kind of making stuff up, like what they imagined was out there.
Dragons. Yeah.
And so we're like, that's kind of what this thing is. Not a lot of people, Avernus has not been explored at all. It's like people who go down there never return, And
they're not really concerned about cartography,
and
just accuracy.
yeah, just staying alive. So when we talked with Jared, we kind of said this is kind of what we're feeling, and so we had him up, and we chatted with him for a while because he just lives in Portland.
Oh, that's cool.
And anyway, and because he's awesome, and so we had a talk, and then he's just like, okay, what I need to know is like, who is the actual person who draws this map, like in the world?
Who's the character who did it?
And so we were like, oh, well, it's like this cartographer who's gone mad, who's seen this thing through a vision. And then he's like, okay, I got it. And then he goes off, and then his first sketch in was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah.
Does that character appear in the adventure at all, or is just your conception of it?
Actually, the character is spoken about, but he doesn't appear. It's just sort of like, oh yeah, here's the map, and oh, by the way, the person who drew this map went crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that detail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
And the writers in the book, they put I kind of fleshed out like, oh, there's going to be like a little blurb from the cartographer or from different people. Like before each like little chapter, you'll get like a little blurb. But then the writers went on to actually write those out as from the cartographer, and they're great. And so you get to like, says like for the different locations on the map, the cartographer will say like a little blurb and say like, what was once here is now blasted, and woe betide anybody who sets foot in this realm, this sanctum, and you're just like, what?
You're like, now I want to go there.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, totally. So,
that's cool.
So the DM can make the cartographer as big a presence or a smaller presence as they want. They can just say, oh yeah, the cartographer went nuts, and leave it at that. Or they can have this whole scene with the cartographer, or they could have the cartographer linked to the minds of the party and say, just cryptic stuff as they're going through Avernus to kind of creep the party members out, or give them little hints as they're going along. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Lots of fun.
Right. And like I said, there's going to be a copy of that map within the Dice and Miscellany set, in addition to the one in the book. So you could potentially give it to your players if they discover it somehow throughout the play. So you have like an extra copy.
Yeah, and also, we definitely had the idea in mind that this dice set is not particularly for Descent into Avernus. Like, you can use it for Descent into Avernus, or you can run your own campaign after you've gone through this. And this dice set is good for any Descent into the Nine Hells that you want to undertake. So it's not tied strictly to this.
Right.
So yeah.
We definitely hope that we just inspire people to use it in however they want to for their story. Right.
Yeah. Your road is open.
Very cool. So in addition to all of those coming out on September 17th, there is the new Dungeon Mayhem expansion, which is really exciting.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 new characters. You can play as Minsk and Boo as a deck, and Jahira, the druid, which you may recognize both of them, or all 3 of those characters from the Baldur's Gate series of video games, as well as at least Minsk and Boo being dramatized in Jim Zub's and Max Dunbar's comic book series, which is getting a hardcover version. I think I saw Jim announce that.
IDW is doing a Hydra 74 cover.
Yes.
It looks amazing.
It does look amazing. So if you're interested in finding out about what's going on in the Baldur's Gate leading up to Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, that's a great way to start.
Yeah, and Jim Zub and Max Dunbar were both part of the Descent into Avernus adventure. So I brought in Jim to be a story consultant on the adventure when we were coming up with story ideas and just right in the very beginning of it. And Max Dunbar came in later on to do concept art for it. And so he and I were the tag team to invent the Abyssal Chicken. Which is, like, I think a big crowd favorite. And then, of course, Perkins gave it stat block life and an extra love, which was, of course, just out of this world. So the Abyssal Chicken is a thing that is our gift to the world.
I love that. So the 5 comic book series. So there's 5 issues in each one of these series. One was Legends of Baldur's Gate, Shadows of the Vampire, which follows the Curse of Strahd storyline. Same characters. And Frost Giant's Fury are all being bundled in a tome called The Days of Endless Adventure. And it is up for pre-order right now.
So good.
With IDW publishing it, and it's got a Hydra 74 cover. I just love it. Yeah, you're totally right. So look into that. That's again coming from IDW. But Jim's got so many other projects also coming down with his Young Adventurers guides that look really cool. We will be revealing, I'll say this, we'll be revealing the cover of the 3rd Young Adventurers guide next week, I believe. So look for that. When you're listening to this on audio form, it may already be revealed. So go to check out at Jim Zub is probably the best person place to get that on Twitter, since he's so good at promoting his own work.
He is a master.
In some ways better than us.
Yeah, he is a master. Yeah, that guy is.
He really is.
Yeah, there's 4 of him, really.
There must be. He must be cloned.
There's just like a giant room with just vats with Jim Zubs. All ready to
spreading all
that. Yeah.
I love that. We do, of course, have tons of other fun things to announce for later on this year, but we'll get to that on another Dragon Talk. What do you say about that?
That sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
Distribute the
wealth.
Tasty treats.
Exactly. We will now go to some lore you should know with both of us talking.
Okay. Yes.
So let's listen to some bells. Let's listen to some bing bongs, and then it'll be just us talking once again.
As lore.
Excellent. All right, great. Good stuff all around. I love everything. So I'm checking out in what's going on in chat here. Oh, there's some fun people. Hey, Danny's there. Hi, Danny.
Yay.
She said it's a couple of my favorite people. So I think she's talking about you and Ryan Marth. Definitely not you. Okay. How she says hello. Hi. This is what I love with Twitch when it works this way. When you're like, oh, there's people. They're listening to us. They're really watching us. It's really happening. I love that. So now we could do our midtro, which is pretty easy. It's just going from the lore segment into this. This is always a little bit strange because it's just us talking this whole time.
Yeah. This is so bizarre.
I know, right?
This is,
but it makes it a little bit easier to edit it all together. That was a really good Lore You Should Know episode and segment. You did a really good job, Adam.
Why, thank you.
Yeah. Your brain has got almost as much in it as a Modron.
The clueless one.
Yeah. No, the Primus one.
The Primus.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Do you think inside Primus's head is just like this like Les Claypool bass riff going? Ooh, that sounds very similar to our Shushar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Primus. Yeah, he's just got Frizzle Fry going on.
Yeah, exactly.
24/7.
There's more 90s kids references there than people that probably may not know about. But now we are going to talk to you and Mr. Chris Perkins going in depth about creating the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus adventure.
Yeah.
You ready to do that?
I'm so ready for that.
Put on a different hat because we're doing it. See, that's all the transition music you need there is just the Michael Winslow-like talents of Adam Lee.
We could just, riff all day.
Oh, my gosh. Jerry was a race car driver. Thank you, Vulpes Tenebrae, for once again coming out of the woodwork and coming up with a good comment there in the chat.
Vulpes Tenebrae.
Yeah.
Man's on point.
That's right.
Or is she on
They
point?
are on
They
point.
are on point.
They are on point.
We do not know.
That was one of my favorite Primus songs. But
Yeah.
Jerry was a race car driver.
Yeah.
I do remember that back in the day. Tommy the Cat was the one I first listened to, I think.
Yeah.
They were actually, fun tidbit, I don't know if everybody who's listening knows this, but they were in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
There's the Battle of the Bands. That's like the major climax,
my
right?
gosh,
They're
yeah.
the band that they go to being like, I don't know where they are, if they're going to be here in time. And Primus is the band that's playing while they're doing that scene.
Oh, wow.
I think they're actually playing Tommy the Cat in that thing, but you
far
can't
out.
really tell because it's in like a crazy bass solo moment.
Well, Bill and Ted's new adventures coming out, I guess.
Yeah. Have you been seeing all the photos that they've been releasing?
I've just seen a
of
couple
them?
photos, but...
Bizarre, isn't
yeah,
it? Seeing
it's
like
crazy.
old Keanu. Still got the long hair,
Yeah.
and he's got that blank look that you're
Yeah.
like, okay, he remembers how to play Ted.
Oh, yeah. I remember... do you remember Crossroads with Ralph Macchio?
Oh, yeah.
And the dude who comes in to cut heads with him, that's Steve Vai.
Yes.
Steve Vai is just blazing. And of course, Steve Vai is actually playing that, and Ralph Macchio is just kind of faking it.
You're right. He's like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but Steve Vai played both parts. He played of course, the evil guy who's sold the devil, but he also plays Ralph Macchio's part.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then Ralph Macchio is like finger syncing to it.
And that's a piece by Paganini that Ralph Macchio plays.
No way.
Yeah, yep.
Oh,
So, and
that's
Paganini
fascinating.
in real life was, actually thought to have sold his soul to the devil as well.
The clown?
Well,
Oh, wait, no, that's the Seinfeld episode that I'm missing.
that's that's I don't know what the clown's name, but it's like Paganini. But anyway, yeah. But Paganini in real life, he used to actually take one of his strings and cut it, and hoping that it would break in concert.
Oh.
And so that he could actually play with 3 strings
Wow.
and wow the crowd with his virtuosity.
That is, I love the showmanship of that.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, I'm going to, it's like the Scotty principle where you're like,
Yeah.
you're going to under-promise and then over-deliver.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because he's
okay.
like, all right, I'm gonna do this, but, I'm going to see how awesome I am because I can do it even under all these constraints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Paganini was a show dude. Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah.
There is I also just love that storyline of the Crossroads of like
Yeah.
the idea that you're not going to be talented enough unless you make this deal, right?
Yeah.
And it's very Descent into Avernus, isn't it?
Mhm. It certainly is. Yeah. There's plenty of deal making that can go on in there. And one of the things we all talked about was like, we had to kind of get you into Avernus quickly as adventurers, and we were like, well, you're probably going to hit level 4 or 5 when you get into Avernus, and we're like, that's pretty freaky. Like, you're just going to get your clock cleaned when you get down there. So But as we chatted about it, the more we got, we're like, well, that's actually going to be cool because we have, you can have magic items that can help you out, but really this whole adventure is a lot of role playing, and it's a lot of like devils just don't want to just kill you outright. They want to make sure, because they really want your soul. They want to try to corrupt you. They want to try to mess you around.
Right. So they see your relative weakness as an opportunity.
Yes. And so when you're like going down there as a noob, it's gonna be that much more tempting for you to knuckle under and say, give me something to help me survive. Give me something that I need to do better here. And only the stalwart paladin who, is just like, no, I will not touch any of this foulness, will then have to take the harder road. So, we at first we were like, whoa, and then we're like, oh. It was a whoa, experience.
That was a very Bill and Ted's-esque whoa, too.
Whoa.
Oh. Iron Maiden. Dude, excellent.
Yo.
Oh, Pagliacci was the clown.
Isn't that the pizza? Or is that Pagliacci?
No, that is the pizza.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And that's the used in the logo.
Yeah.
That's only a small chain here in the Seattle area, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, there is a small chain of pizza places called Pagliacci, and there is definitely a clown on the logo.
And I've heard some people say Pagliacci.
Oh,
like Pagliacci, and I was like
it's a soft G, like
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
you're Italian, what?
Yeah, right. I know Italian, having pronunciation. Sure, no problem. God, you know how many times I had to practice saying Joe Manganiello?
Oh, yeah,
many times
Manganiello
to get it right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, you want ready to do our outro then?
Let's outro it.
All right. Man, Adam, you really do a good interview.
Why? Thank you.
Both
sir.
On the receiving end and the interviewee end and the interviewer end.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah. Actually, it's good to be interviewed by you, sir.
Oh, well, thank
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you make it
fun.
easy.
Yeah.
I came into this fretting somewhat, and now put at ease.
You feel at ease.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Because, there is something about this podcast form where that I like that makes it just feel like interesting people talking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit heightened. Is not necessarily how you and I would converse, all the time.
Yeah.
But that's what I enjoy about it. It's just these people are experts in their field, and they can talk about it. And especially a product that you worked on or a book that you were working on. Of course,
oh my gosh, yeah.
There's so much wealth of information to delve into. So
yeah, and it's fun. Like anytime I get to talk about something that I'm a geek about, it's good. Like diving or archaeology or I was actually going to be an Egyptologist at one point.
Were you really?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. I was studying and I was learning French and German and Arabic.
So that you could find a Rosetta Stone and be able to translate it?
Yeah, a lot of the old Egyptological texts are written by German archaeologists, French archaeologists, and of course Arabic archaeologists. So yeah.
So do you believe or have an inkling that some type of other force came to the Egyptians, and that's why there was this boom of technology, and it allowed them to create the pyramids of Giza?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That is, I definitely think if anything, it was all terrestrial. I think I don't feel like space aliens came down and built the pyramids. However, I if there was evidence that I am intrigued by that.
Yeah.
That of course the fantasy part of me loves that idea and is like, that would be great. However, all the ancient civilizations were, believed that their ancestors came from the stars. And they have crazy accurate star maps that show these different locations. And the pyramids are aligned to Sirius, the Orion constellation. And other tribes in Africa are like the Dogon. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of the Dogon?
I've not heard
Sirius
of the Dogon.
mystery? Woo, Nelly, that'll blow your mind. So there is something about the, like where did it come from? And it's just tantalizing enough to maybe it does.
I think that's
maybe
why
it is real,
so many programs latch onto that idea is because it is so tantalizing.
Yeah.
I love that idea too. I was a fan of the Robert Anton Wilson, the Illuminati trilogy.
Oh wow,
no.
No.
Oh yeah, so that ties pyramids and what we're talking about to the assassination of the Kennedys.
Oh, whoa.
To like what's happening in our world now. Is all through that. And it's a very crazy mystical novel. I think you would really dig it because
it sounds awesome.
It shifts time and character and perspective in the same sentence.
Whoa.
So much so that it becomes just this huge mind-blowing experience reading it. It's difficult to get through for that reason. It's kind of like a Ulysses or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But it deals with all those fun ideas.
Wow. And that's the thing. I mean, we can all go out into that realm and just be like, what if? But when you go to actually, like I've been to Peru, which has a lot of these sites that are just as fascinating as like something like the Osirian in Egypt, where got these megalithic blocks, but they're built so perfect. And I've seen some things in Peru that regardless of what it is, there's this physical object that when you see it, when I saw it, I was like, it boggles the mind. Like I can see pictures of this place in Peru. Like there's one called Sacsayhuaman. There's one called in Cusco. It's the Incas sort of sacred temple. And but when I actually saw it, it's mind blowing. You're just like, how was this done? And
how could a human civilization 700 years ago do this, right?
And it doesn't, the historical reality that we've been taught just doesn't support it. And so it's like, okay, there's got to be some other kind of thing going on. So anyway,
I feel like we should delve into that in a whole other Dragon Talk episode interview about archaeology and how it relates to fantasy. And I think there's a lot of overlap there. There really is.
That would be great because it influences the mind to like write the stuff that I write for these books. Like when I think of an elven, like what does an elven fortress, long lost elven fortress look like?
Yeah.
And it was built by high magic. Well, it's like, okay, I've been to one of these crazy like things where I'm like, how was this built? Like
it feels like it was high magic that built it. Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
Definitely relevant to Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, as we started from this episode, I think your Twitter handle is a perfect encapsulation of everything that we've been talking about today. So what is it one more time for people so that they can ask you any questions about Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus?
It is Adam of Adventure.
At Adam of Adventure.
At Adam of Adventure.
I am, of course, at Greg Tito. You can follow Shelley Moo and bug her and make sure that she comes back on this podcast very soon. We miss her dearly, but I hope she's recharging. She is at Shelley Moo. If you want to find out anything about Dungeons & Dragons, sometimes the best place to look is on DungeonsandDragons.com, where we have tons of information about how to get started. If you're interested in playing in a game, you can find out more about the D&D Adventurers League at dndadventurersleague.org. Dragon Plus is also a great resource where you can download that onto your iOS or Android device. Bi-monthly, that means every 2 months, and an issue comes out with tons of information. You've contributed a lot to Dragon Plus over the years.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Fiction as well as interviews on this adventure.
Yeah, it's all a blur to me now, but yeah, I've had some fun, and I love Dragon Plus because we actually have ideas of things that we want to put on that for later issues as we go through, because we want to use it more and more to just kind of really start trying out some new things.
Yeah.
And start trying out some new creatures, new adventures, all that kind of stuff.
So if you want to get an inside peek, definitely download Dragon Plus.
Oh, yeah.
And check out each issue as they come out. I think we're up to like issue 24 or something like this at this point. Like it's been more than 4 years that we've been doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to do a Dragon Plus cover.
Yeah.
You
should.
I want to draw an ampersand.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And I love the covers. Shauna has done a great job at art directing and bringing new and interesting artists and ways to do it.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite were like the food cover, where it was like carved food was a sculpture, as well as the Zugget sculpture was created for a cover of Dragon Plus, which is one of my favorite D&D artifacts ever. So definitely download it. If you don't want to get a new app on your phone, you can look at that content at dragonmag.com. It's all there as well. Thank you so much again for being here.
My pleasure. Anytime.
You're really fun to talk to. So, maybe Shelley's got some competition here.
Oh, that's right, Shelley. I couldn't hold a candle to Shelley. My gosh.
Awesome. So, you being an adventurer and able to figure out how to survive in a cave, do you think that the rocks that are above us are going to fall down anytime and kill us?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's probably like, with piercers come down. We're sitting ducks.
Oh, God. No. Do you see that? The piercer. It's falling. It's falling. Oh, God. We're dead. All right. We did it. We have all 3 intros, outros, and midtros recorded.
I now know what an 8th dimensional being feels like.
Yes. Time travel is hard.
You have shown me a new realm, Greg.
Yes. There have been times where we've recorded stuff for like an episode that we're going to record in the future, as well as like knowing that something won't be announced yet until later. So then we have to be like, oh, wait, no, that is going to be announced now. So we have to think about ourselves as our future selves.
That's madness.
It is madness. Luckily, though, it's been a lot easier with Ryan Marth and Lisa Carr helping us out as much as possible with booking a lot of that thing. So it makes it a little bit easier.
Thank God.
So it's not just all in my head.
Thank God for them.
Thank the gods.
Oh, that's right. Thank the plural gods. Takes more than one god.
I know. I saw someone on Twitter. There was a epithet that that Chris used in Lore You Should Know.
Oh, yeah.
He said, "Oh, good lords."
Oh, good Lord.
And it was just a throwaway, line. And I laughed, kind of internally as it happened. But someone on Twitter mentioned me like, "Oh man, that Perkins is, committed to his world building."
He is. I think he actually lives in that world.
Yeah, I think that's true. So speaking of Perkins, we're going to get him in here very soon, and we're going to talk all about what's in this adventure. So we're going to take a short break. We will recharge, get some more caffeine insertion devices, and be right back. So thanks. We'll be here soon.